Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode here of Banish the Doubt. In today's video, bring you a little closer here. In today's video, what I want to talk about is as we're ending this year of 2024 and embarking on, in a couple of hours, a new year, some of the things that we could take with us into the new year, such as an awareness of exactly how we are in this environment, in this on this earth, in this universe. You see, when we say things such as "that's just the way things are," do you understand? That's just the way our life has been, our family, whatever it may be. Understand, you're talking about things that are familiar to you. Okay, and this goes back hundreds, maybe even thousands of years, ancestrally, okay, passed on down, obviously from generation to generation to generation. So I wanted to do a video today on this word familiar, or the root familiaris, okay? That's the root word. And what I did this research on, what I found out is this familiar or familiaris means of the household or of the family. Now, why is this important? Because that's how we were raised, right? We were raised, our caregivers, our family. So from the time we were in third trimester, okay, the time we were there as a fetus, everything from the family, okay, or of the household was sent to us through our mom, through the umbilical cord, that energy. Mom told us, what is the world? What is the world like? Okay. Is it a harmonious world? Is it a very fruitful world? Is it a very abundant world? Is it a very profitable world? Is there just a lot of ease? Is there a lot of love? Is there a lot of financial stability, worth, financial? There's a lot of self worth, things like that. Maybe 1% of the population grow up like that, into an environment, into a family, a household where that is the norm. The remaining part of the globe comes into a world or into a household or into a family where there's a lot of stress, where there's a lot of angst over money, over the relationship. Maybe there's a lot of toxicity in the relationship. And that energy is given to the fetus. We're not even born yet, technically, okay? But third trimester is when the brain turns on. Okay, so what our brain turns on is third trimester. And if what's being transferred to the fetus is anxiety, fear, lack of self-worth, limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts, that is what the fetus is taking in. Now, when the baby is born, when we were born and we're at age 0, we come into the light and into the world, right? The lights are on, if you will, the eyes are open, but there's no communication, no nothing. So from 0 to age 2, from 0 to age 2, the brain is in delta. These are extremely low, slow brain waves. Okay? From age 2 to age 7, we're in theta brain waves. These are a little quick, little faster, but still very slow. with respect to beta, which is the brain waves that we're in right now. You're watching this video and myself making this video. We're in beta brainwave, okay? But the other interesting part about this at this point is from age 0 to age 7, we are unconscious. There's no consciousness taking place. The conscious mind is not developed. So this is when we are just observing. We're observing the family. We're observing the household. We're getting rules sent to us. How do we survive in this world? What are the relationships like? What's the relationship like between mom and dad and mom? What is the relationship with the family? At this point, you become enculturated. What's the culture like, right? We're proud, fill in the blank. So this is where the programming, just like this computer, the programming is downloaded into our brain. But this is subconscious is here. That is all the information is going into the subconscious. Our conscious mind is not developed yet. So everything is being cataloged into our subconscious. So whatever feels familiar later in life comes directly from what took place here, because it's familiar. It's of the household. Okay, the root word says of the household or of the family. So this is how we are sort of set up for life, right? Now, if we're raised in a family where money was a sore spot, right? There's a lot of anger around money, arguments around money, right? This is what is being established within our psyche. A lot of the common phrases today is what the rich don't what pay their fair share. So if you tell a child who's growing up, oh, the rich are nasty people, they're bad people, well, how is that child ever going to think that money is good, right? Those rich people, those people over there, we don't belong to those with those people. They're different than us. Think about yourself, how you were raised. What were you raised to think about money? Was money was something that you had to go out and make, right? Do you have to go out and make money? Because I'll tell you, if you have to make money, your best bet is to go somewhere to buy a printing machine, and also go buy a whole boatload of green paint. Then you can make money. That's the way you make money. In reality, money is something that's drawn to us energetically. Money is energy. Okay? Money is, remember this, energy. Okay? What were relationships like? How did mom treat dad? Dad treat mom? Right? This is where a lot of the culture today, a lot of people grow up in situations where there's a lot of stress. And what is stress? What do you need when you're under stress? You need muscle, right? You need fight. You need to get out there and fight. You need to have the street inside of you. You have to have the dog inside of you, right? Think about it. If you're a young man watching, you're a young lady, you watch a lot of sports. What do they talk about, right? The dog inside of that guy, the dog inside of that girl, I guess. I'm not sure if they say that, but you get what I'm saying. Stress is a lot of angst. It's you got to fight. You got to crawl. You got to scratch. You got to do all that just to make a living. So this is the information that's downloaded. And if it comes from here, it's here because it comes from here and here, the family, the household. Okay. So this is, I want to sort of foundationally set up today's video, because this is how a lot of us were raised, I know for myself, a lot of anger, a lot of fights around money, things of that nature. So my brothers and I and my sister, we had, different mindset. But I'm here to tell you in this video that everything is going to be kind of flipped on its head in a couple of minutes. You're going to see how things are going to change, how your focus on this from today on through the rest of the going to this next year, starting in a couple of hours, changes. Okay, so our thinking then should be called an extension of our perception of things. Because, right, it's how we perceive things. This is how we were taught how to perceive life. We observed. By the way, I'm just going right back there for a second. I just want to show you real quick. So from age 7 to age 12, we're in alpha brainwave. Alpha brainwave is likened to when you're sitting watching TV and the afternoon, maybe you take an afternoon nap, or at nighttime before you go to bed, you're in alpha, you're in that slow brainwaves. You're conscious, okay? So here, there is the conscious, okay? Your conscious mind is formed, although it's not formed completely here yet from 7 to 12, it is formed. And then at age 12 and beyond, we're in beta brainwaves. Those are the fastest brainwaves, okay? Just want to kind of go back. I meant to fill that in. So consciousness starts at around 7, 6, 7, which is why a lot of times you can, if you think about telling stories when you're a child, you say, I think I was about 4 or 5, maybe about 7, 6, because we don't remember anything prior to that. We don't, no one ever says, I think it was like a year and a half when it happened. I think it was about 6 months old when because there was we're not conscious of anything. Here we're observing. Here we're in a hypnotic state. Here is when, from 0 to 7, we're in that imagination state. Keep that in mind for a second, okay? This is the imagination. This is when girls, they played tea, right, with the dolls, and there actually was tea in the cup. We could see it, or the girls, right, and boys were firefighters and whatever else, sports stars. We were playing the game. We were fighting the fire. There actually was smoke, water coming out of the hose, right? Fighting the fire. Imagination. Or our perception. So our thinking then should be called an extension of our perception of things. Now, epigenetics says the environment signals the gene. So what I want to transition to now is how this stress that I talked about a few minutes ago, how that and the environment around us where we live, how that affects us on a cellular level. If you haven't watched any of my previous videos, and you want to go and watch them, you'll hear me talk about the atom. We are made up of about 700 billion atoms. Dr. Joe Dispenza says if an atom is, which it is, 0.000001% physical matter and 99.99999% nothing, and we are actually more nothing than something. And this is what I'm saying. I want to start to transition. I want to start to have you think of it completely different going into from today into the year 2025. How you're going to perceive things, okay? So, epigenetics says environment signals the genes, and the end product of an experience in the environment, our life, are emotions. And now, what are emotions? Okay, emotions are a record of the past. Emotions are a record of the past. So they're a record of this. Here, the family, the household, okay? Familiaris of the household, a record of the past. Keep that in mind. So when we we have an emotional reaction to things, we're going back in the past. What it's doing is it is signaling the past, how we were brought up, how we were led to believe things, the perception, our perception of things. Okay? I'll also say that it's our belief of things. It's our assumptions of how things are supposed to go, how the belief of how things are supposed to go, what our definitions are. How do we define ourselves? How do we define our life? How do you define your relationship with yourself and with others? Understand this, ladies and gentlemen. Your reality, different than mine. The people, the events, the places, the things that you do, the events that take place in your life, okay? The environment that you live in is nothing more than a direct reflection of your perception of things, your belief of things, your assumptions and your definitions of how things are supposed to be based off of here. And this is our programs. These are our programs, how we were programmed here. Okay? How we were programmed here. The way that we were under this hypnotic spell growing up. This is everything that's tied into your environment. So understand that it's never anybody or anything outside of you, because everything that is outside of you was put there by you. I know that sounds somewhat paradoxical and kind of hard to get your head around, but it's your thinking. It's your inner thoughts, how you talk to yourself, your perceptions, your beliefs, your assumptions, and your definitions about who? Yourself. The people in your life are nothing more than just messengers messaging back to you your perceptions, your definitions, your assumptions, and your beliefs about yourself. So, the way that we change then is to become greater than the programs that have been driving our life. To give you a kind of a stark example of this, when you're driving your car, okay, maybe later today when you go out for New Year's Eve, if you're going out somewhere, and if you're with somebody in the car, even better yet, and you're talking about maybe this video, okay, hopefully you are. Let's just say you are. And George said this, and then we talked about programs and whatever, and you know, and this thing about subconscious programming and all that. You're driving your car. Your mind is right back to now watching me as I'm speaking now. Okay? But let me ask you, who's driving the car? Your programs, your subconscious program is driving the car. It's why you can tell somebody, you know, I'm not exactly sure how to get or how I got wherever I go. Let's say your job. How do you go to your job? Oh, I go down this street and then I turn. I forget the name of the street I turn. I just know I turn. Your programming turns the car. This is what I'm talking about. So whenever we feel like we're triggered by something or somebody, just understand that that person is showing you who you no longer want to be. They're revealing to you the old person, the old you. Because as you become more aware of this, you start to understand, oh, wait a minute, that's my old subconscious programming coming up. So Dr. Joe Dispenza said as well regarding the atom and how that we are more nothing than something, that we need to be able to overcome our physical limitations. And the way we do that is becoming aware of how we've been thinking. Okay? So, continuing on. Behavior, we have inside of us, talked about these genes, right? So we have inside of us behavior dependent genes. We also have experience dependent genes. And genes make proteins inside of us. Protein is responsible for the structure and the function of our body. This is why when I started talking about stress and living in stress and coming into an environment, right, household or family, where stress was very prevalent, our body starts to take on this stress. And we downregulate genes for the behavior or the experience. Okay, we have behavior dependent and experience dependent genes. So what happens is when we're in stress, our body's in fight or flight. And when we're in stress, we narrow our focus on whatever it is that has us in that state. This is why we can recall things that are negative, and we can recall things that are negative like they were what? Yesterday. I remember exactly where I was, the date of what have you. If you're of a certain age, I'll just tell you, where were you on 9/11? I can tell you exactly where I was. Why? Because that was an emotional time, and it's a record of the past. And what happens is when we're in that stressful environment, in that moment, the brain takes a snapshot of that moment, and that moment gets embossed in our brain, and we call that a LTM, a long-term memory. So we can then recall it, and it's in our mind forever. It's seared in our mind, right? So then, in order for us to overcome this and to create better genes, because the long-term effects of stress in our life results in the body breaking down. The body can't handle stress constantly. What happens is the more we live in these types of circumstances, the more the body becomes addicted to the rush of chemicals when we're in a stressful environment. And it's why people stay in, right? They'll stay in relationships that are dysfunctional or toxic or very dangerous. It's why we'll stay in jobs that we know are not good for us, or we'll continue these habits because it becomes very habitual. The body becomes the mind. And what happens is, just like any addiction, the body wants to go back to what is familiar. And again, what is familiar? Of the household or of the family. So it wants to go back to here because this is what it's used to. This is what we become addicted to. We don't even realize it. Just like driving the car. We don't even realize that the car is being driven by us, but by our subconscious programming. Okay? So then what we want to do, okay? So from now on, what we're going to do is we're going to regard no one from a human or a worldly point of view. This is what Paul said in the Bible. Okay? Even though we once regarded Christ from the human point of view, we regard him no longer. Now, why would I say that? Why would I reference this passage from the Bible? Because like I mentioned a few minutes ago, everything external to you, every person in your life is nothing more than an extension of how you are thinking, that subconscious programming. Because, let me go back and tell you this, okay? This here, these programs represent 95% of our daily activity, of what we do. And only 5% is conscious. This is subconscious. Okay? The programs run our life. The ego runs our life. And if you want an example of this, watch the movie The Matrix. When Neo sees the guys in the suits. I'm not sure if it was the first one or the second one, but he looks down the hall and he sees after I think he had died and come back, similar to the Bible, right? Died and was resurrected or came back to life. He looks down the hall and he sees the guys in the suits, but he doesn't see the guys in the suits. What did he see? He sees those green lines. They're computer generated. We're living in a hologram. Everything is on a hologram. The whole is in all of the parts. This is why we say, so from now on, we regard no one from a human or a worldly point of view. Even though we once regarded Christ from the human point of view, we regard him no longer, because it's how I'm thinking. Anything that takes place outside of you that you're looking at and it used to once trigger you, understand that it's your thinking of how you're thinking, talking to yourself. So from now on, we use the words I am in every situation. I am, you fill in the blank, whatever you want to fill in the blank with. I am a millionaire. I am whole. I am complete. I am pure health, perfect health. I am in a beautiful, perfect relationship. Because when you do this, let me say that again, no matter how you talk, regardless whether it's like you've been talking to yourself or you're going to change, you're going to draw those experiences to you. Because if you look at anything outside of you from the 3D, from the ego, and say that's the way things are, then that's what you're going to get. When you change your thinking and you start to take responsibility and say, okay, I'm the one who's doing this. I and I alone, regardless of what I say, it's why the Bible says, I believe it was Paul as well, I die daily. What he meant in that passage is not every single day, but every moment of every day. And there's not even a day. There's no such thing as past and future. There's only ever now. So I die daily means I change, which is what we do. We change in every single moment of our life. We change our conscious thinking. So we're constantly changing. So I die, but what am I dying to? I'm dying to this. I'm dying to the old programs, the old negative, the old 95% of subconscious programs. It's not that the fear is going to go away completely or the anxiety or whatever else, the doubts, the limitations, the limiting beliefs. It's not that they're going to go away. They're always going to be there. But now we understand that where it's coming from. And we say things like, okay, I understand where it's coming from. I'm just going to allow it to pass through because I am going to transcend that. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to be in denial about it, but I'm going to deny it. I'm not going to be in denial, but I'm going to deny it. It's not who I am. I understand it's the old me, or it's just part of life taking place, and I'm going to allow it to transfer its energy through me, because nothing in this world happens to you. It happens through you. Okay? So nothing real can be threatened because nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Whatever is true or real has always been true and real, regardless if we believe it or not. Okay? So, that was it. So I just wanted to end with that. So that was the video I wanted to talk to you about today and have you change the way you're seeing your life and seeing reality and having you understand the different definition, okay, of your reality, the different assumption you have of yourself and your reality, the different perceptions you have of yourself and reality, and the belief. So those four things: our beliefs, our perceptions, our assumptions, and our definitions. We understand from this point forward, nothing or anything or anybody outside of you has ever has any control over you ever again. You and you alone create everything. Knowing this, you simply just say, and I have the passage here, okay? See people and places and circumstances as you would like it to be. I am, you could say this God, source energy, universal consciousness. You could say source energy, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to say. I am God and there is no other. And you take that with you from this point forward for the rest of your life, because that is the absolute, unvarnished truth. You are source energy. You are reality. You are God. You are universal consciousness, whatever you want to say, and nothing else. And that's it. In every single moment, you are creating your life. How you think about your life, the people and the places and the things in your life is up to you. How you change, when you change your thinking, everything else changes. Have a wonderful, prosperous, and healthy new year with you with yourself and your loved ones. If anybody watching this would like to have any type of personal one-on-one counseling, coaching regarding this, go to my channel. I'd be honored to work with you. Please do me a favor, like and share the video, because the more people that see these types of videos throughout the world, the healthier, the more aware we're going to make the world. Thank you.